What's up, Bulldog Boxing here, breaking down the fight tonight. Second biggest fight of the year. Some people are saying the biggest fight of the year, but I think the heavyweight fight between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury is a bigger fight. Anytime there's heavyweight titles on the line, I think you've got to give that the nod to the number one. But this is one of the biggest fights of the year. It's on free TV, ESPN. You've got Vasiliy Lomachenko versus Teofimo Lopez. Lomachenko has 3 of the 4 belts, major belts. Teofimo with 1 of them. So one will be the unified title holder. I'm seeing a lot of people taking Teofimo. Teofimo is about a 3-1 underdog. The betting odds on him are, I believe it's, I'll tell you right now. As of today, it's plus 317. So you put $100 onto Teofimo and you can win 317. Lomachenko is negative 101. There's a slight drop today. So I'm going to give you my breakdown of it, plus my prediction and what I think the best way to bet it is. So the biggest thing I've noticed is everyone seems to be going to the one punch from Teofimo. Obviously, he's a big puncher. He's considered to be the bigger guy, a guy they're both fighting at 135. But Lomachenko can easily be fighting at 130 and came up from 126. Teofimo's at 135, but many people are saying he could be fighting, upwards of 140, maybe 147 at one point. So he's the bigger guy. So everyone keeps on pointing to one punch, and that was that punch in Madison Square Garden by Linares, caught Lomachenko with a straight right and dropped him. And I think people are putting maybe a little bit too much emphasis on this. Lomachenko has been dropped one time in my career, from my understanding. That was against Linares. I was there at that fight. And one of the biggest things I'll say about that is Lomachenko was not hurt with that punch. Now you're going to say Teofimo's a bigger puncher, so if he catches him, he can hurt him. Sure, there's a possibility. But in that whole fight, Linares really only had that as his big, come out. That was his one punch. Obviously, the way Lomachenko has trained for many years and having an amateur record of 396-1, pro record of 15-1, clearly he knows they're looking for that. So he's got to be studying it, right? Doesn't mean he can't get caught with it, doesn't mean he can't get hurt, but he's going to be looking for it. I think people put a little bit too much emphasis on that one punch, all right? Because no one's guaranteeing you're going to land it clean. And another thing I'm mentioning is he wasn't hurt by Linares in that punch. As soon as his ass hit the deck, he was jumping right back up and actually kind of triggered him to hit that next level. And then Lomachenko stops him with a body shot in the 12th round. So I see a lot of people depending on the power of Lopez, and I don't think that's the best way to look at it. He's going to want to fight him like Salido. It's another fight people bring up. Remember, Salido came in overweight for that fight. That fight was a split decision. And Lomachenko's second professional fight ever. He fought a crafty veteran, a guy that came in overweight, a guy that hit him with elbows, hit him under the belt several times. The ref really should have took a point at some point. That probably would have changed the swing of the fight. But it is what it is. It was a learning experience. The very next fight, Lomachenko wins a world title in his 3rd fight versus Gary Russell, who was 24-0 at the time. So you got to keep these things in mind. This guy's overcome a lot. Obviously, I think Teofimo is going to try to make this a rough fight. And I think where everyone's getting the hype from is Teofimo's dad has been very vocal. He's kind of been similar to an Angel Garcia. Danny Garcia's father, really hyping it up. I think he might be a little too cocky. I almost feel like there is too much cockiness in this. I think it might backfire on him, because once you come out, and if you don't blast him right away and knock him out, and Teofimo was obviously very, very impressive, knocking out, I wanted to say it's Comey, yeah. Comey in the 2nd round of that title fight, that was huge. I mean, Comey's a big, strong guy, stopped him in the 2nd round. I mean, that was big. There's a reason to be confident, but I have a feeling the arrogance, because that's what it comes across, is going to end up biting him in the ass. I think they've really motivated Lomachenko. Obviously, anything can happen, but I'm really, I was a little nervous for this fight for Lomachenko. I am a Lomachenko fan. Sure, there's a bias here. But after thinking this is, a scary fight for him, the more I'm looking at it, the more what I think my boxing sense is telling me is this is not going to be, the fight of the year candidate. This is going to be more similar to a Mayweather style fight. It's going to be a fight where all of a sudden you look up, there've been maybe a couple exciting moments, but it's the 7th round, 8th round, 9th round, and he still hasn't stopped him. And Lomachenko is just on cruise control, and he's just finding his spots. And maybe, depending on how this goes, depending on how motivated Lomachenko is, and I think he's motivated, he may start punishing him. And this may be something where they realize they were in it over their head, and he starts hurting him or even stops him. Now, I'm not going to bank on the stoppage. My prediction is, though, this will go the distance. Lomachenko, a unanimous decision. You may even hear something afterwards like he wouldn't bang with me. I wanted to bang. I don't see that happening. I think Lomachenko still has it. Of course, he is the smaller guy. Lopez has a puncher's chance. I wouldn't be absolutely shocked, but I'd be surprised. Now, the betting odds are really interesting on this because Teofimo is saying he's going to stop him by the 6th round. That's what his camp's saying. I mean, there's no problem with laying a bet there. I mean, you could lay a bet on any of the first, few rounds, and you're as much as plus 12,000 for the first round knockout by Teofimo Lopez. I mean, even in the middle rounds, you're plus 4,000 and 5,000. So, I mean, to throw $10 to $100 on that is sure worth it. If you think he has a chance to knock him out. But really what I suggest, if you're going to bet this fight, I'd say this is pretty easy. Lomachenko unanimous decision is a plus 150. I wouldn't just bet on Loma overall at negative 400. Put your money on the plus 150 unanimous decision because it goes to the cards. That's probably what it is. Or even just a decision, Loma, negative 100. And then I'd hedge your bet if you wanted to by betting Loma rounds 10 to 12. Lomachenko is 10 to 12. He's a plus 952, and I could certainly see a late stoppage by Loma if he really turns it on. Even round 7 to 9 plus 751. I mean, you don't have to put much money on there, and if he gets the stoppage or you put most of it on the decision, that's the way to go. And you can even throw a couple dollars here and there on Lomachenko on the rounds. But that's the way I see it. I see Lomachenko turning this into a little bit of a boring fight, not letting him get open, but then Lomachenko picking his shots, using his angles. He will be exciting just because Lomachenko is exciting, but he does want to keep the pace slower. And he's going to have to make sure he keeps Teofimo off of him. But I think he has the skills to do that. It's a much different fight than when Teofimo fought the Asian guy who was much taller but took him the distance, gave him a little bit of trouble. But Lomachenko is a much better fighter than that guy. He just doesn't have the size and reach advantage. But it's showing, styles can make fights, and Loma could be a guy to make this guy miss. And don't think Loma can't punch. That's the other thing people are saying. They think he can't punch. Listen, people said the same thing about Floyd. Floyd had, kind of brittle hands. And I'm not comparing those two. They're two different guys. So I don't want to compare completely. There are some comparisons where you're talking about a guy and you say he can't punch. When you're fast and you're sharp, those shots will hurt. There's no doubt about it. And they will take their toll. And late in that fight, that's why I say he could really get to him. You may see a cut, you may see blood. But, as long as Lomachenko's careful and stays out of the way of the freight train, he could certainly beat him up and get this decision. So there we have it, baby.